Hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm Stu. Tilly's here.
Hello.
Krupa's here.
Hi.
Alex Simmons is here.
Happy New Year.
Have you noticed that I just call these two by their surnames?
I didn't know
I've got a little bit of respect for you, so I call you Alex Simmons.
I would rather you called me Mr. Alexander Simmons.
Not going to happen.
No.
Have you got a middle name?
No. Or Ander.
Brilliant. Have you got a middle name? Yeah, you're John, aren't you?
John Francis, which is my confirmation name. So I went to a Catholic school, so I chose the name Francis.
Did you?
Why did you choose the name Francis?
Because I thought it'd be because of Francis Assisi,
I see.
and I liked animals.
Wow.
You like animals?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Frank Sinatra or something, but
Do you-
Francis
As
Assisi.
a 10-year-old child choosing my confirmation name,
Hang on a
the
second.
popular American singer.
So when you're 10, you have to choose a middle name if you're Catholic.
You choose your confirmation name, which slots in between your first name, your middle name, and your surname.
And how many have you got a choice of? How many names?
You can choose anything
Anything at all?
What would you choose, Alex?
Oh, God.
Zerg.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. God.
Yeah, there you go.
God.
G?
Knuckle.
Oh, no.
Not strictly a biblical name.
I would say
Not
that
one
you
of
didn't
the
say it had to be
disciples.
biblical.
I would say that is your
You
middle
said
name.
your beginning name, any biblical name. I
Oh,
said.
right.
So I couldn't have Danger,
You could have Jesus Christ.
because then Danger would be my middle name.
Brilliant.
What?
It's going well so far, isn't
That
it?
joke is as old as the Bible.
Have you got a middle
Jesus
name?
used to say it all the time. What's your name? Jesus.
What is it?
Jesus.
Edward.
Edward. Ah, that's quite nice.
It's my dad's first name.
Ah, good. Fact, fans. What's been happening this week?
I'm glad we chose to film this one.
Well, are we going to... Well, we're acknowledging that now, I guess.
It wasn't going to.
No, cheers.
Yeah.
We're filming it.
Well, this week has been, for me, it's been my first week back, and for you, Tilly, of 2014.
Alex has put his radio voice on.
Yeah.
Have I?
very
Oh, that's
posh.
right.
Well, this week has been my first week back of 2014, and what a cracker it's been.
Has it, though?
It's been all right.
What's been the biggest news for you this week?
Uh,
I'll give you a clue.
Well, I haven't. That's not the biggest news for me.
What is the biggest news for you?
Well, I'm just trying to think.
Your daughter started school.
She did.
That's big news.
She cut her hand open.
What?
Yeah,
Sad news.
Luke did it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Luke did it.
No, when you said what? No, when you said it was big news, I was like, yeah, Luke did a news video. It was going to be a glib aside, and then
Right.
you said she cut her hand, and I thought, oh, shit, we're going to backpedal on that one.
What is
Luke
Kamali
did it.
doing?
Luke did it.
Like carrying knives. He shouldn't be. He's too young. Anyway, yeah, so I guess the biggest gaming news was that it's obviously CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And PlayStation revealed that it has a new service coming in. It's not PlayStation yesterday. It's not PlayStation tomorrow. It's PlayStation now.
Now.
Yes.
Except it's not starting yet.
No.
PlayStation.
Almost now.
PlayStation soon.
Yes.
And what is PlayStation now, Alex?
So it's basically a rebrand of what Gaikai was. What?
Is that racist?
No, that's how you pronounce it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do it again.
Gaikai.
I'm sorry. I'm sure that's... Is that racist?
You're looking it up.
He's just checking to see if Alex saying...
I've got
"Gaikai."
an app that tells you whether something's racist. It's not racist.
Oh, there you go.
good. Okay,
So we can
excellent.
continue with Gaikai news. So it's basically it's going to enable you to access all the back catalogue of PlayStation games. Obviously, big thing with PS4, it doesn't have backwards compatibility.
No.
This will give you access to all the classic PS3 games, PS2 games. So they showed Last of Us running streaming. Look very nice. And what's the really smart thing about it is it's not just accessing that stuff on your PS4, but for example, you could hook up DualShock 3 and play it on your Bravia TV, which is very cool.
I think they say bra.
Yeah, bra.
And then
Uh,
eventually, like all other kind of platforms, and I don't think they said specifics, but there's no reason why it couldn't be iPad.
I believe Samsung are in talks with them for their TVs as well.
Yeah,
Which would be good.
which is that to me is the kind of future of gaming. Is to make it truly accessible to everyone. Is not having another box underneath your TV, but having no box and just using your TV.
I liked. Was it Andrew House introduced it, and he said, "At last, you can play PS3 games in your living room." Do you know? I've been able to do that for a couple of years now, mate.
Just a couple of years.
Just a couple of years, yeah.
Is this the kind of move that could win a war?
I honestly think if they get it right, so
Just go over to the Middle East and ask, shall I?
I'm assuming you mean the console war,
Jerusalem.
rather than something particularly like serious.
Yeah.
I do think it's a very smart move. And they claim it only needs a 5 megabit connection.
Yeah. It's
which
coming
is
to Xbox
pretty,
One.
like pretty much anyone half decent.
Yeah.
It could come to Xbox
Imagine
One.
that. But in Europe, we might not get it for quite some time.
Yeah, but I don't think. Honestly, I don't think the infrastructure is quite there. Like, I can't remember. I was talking to you this morning, but I've got. It's not a particularly fast connection, but it's about, I don't know, 10 to 15 megabit connection at home.
I don't think
that struggles with iPlayer.
I don't think it's just the connection, though, is it? It's the servers as well. You've got to be relatively close to where the server farm is.
Well, that's definitely not. Yeah, my nearest server farm is like Maidenhead, which is freaking miles away.
Right. I think that's the problem you'll have then.
So I need to move to Maidenhead, basically.
If you could, yeah. Would you mind doing that?
To play old PS3
Explain
and
that to
PS2
your missus.
games.
She'll be absolutely fine.
The future is you sat in a car near the Maidenhead server farm playing a 4-year-old game on your iPad.
I'm crying.
Look at that. That sounds amazing.
House prices in Maidenhead are going to shoot up.
Yeah. Never mind being close to a decent school. It's going to be all about how close you are to a server farm so you can play Gakai. Was that racist?
Now that is racist.
Was that racist?
That is racist when you do it.
Why?
Because there's always that hint of malice. That's how with
everything you say.
With you giving your history and some of your tattoos. It is racist, Stuart.
I still can't believe you won't let me bring my bulldog into work. It's just so unfair.
Your bald dog.
My bulldog. My bald dog.
You do bring your bulldog into work. You do bring that in. Pop it out every now and then.
What's next?
Next piece of news.
Yes. So a few more things that came out of CES. One, quickly, I'll just deal with this, is most recent sales figures for the new consoles. I'm not saying next gen, I'm saying new consoles. PS4 and Xbox One.
Well, we've had a bit of a chat about that with our US team about what to call them, haven't we?
Yeah, actually be interesting to hear what listeners think about that issue, whether we stop saying next gen.
What point does it become current gen, next gen? Because, it's still not out in many, many countries.
Yeah, you don't do this with a lot of other bits of technology, though.
No.
Or any.
But that's normally... Yeah, I guess you don't really call it a next-gen iPad, do you?
Yeah, or with trousers. These are my new trousers, those are my old trousers.
I don't think that's probably the same.
It's a form of technology,
Are there
Alex.
any technological advances in your latest trousers?
He's got 3 legs.
Well,
no. On a good day. I call him tripod.
Like Jake the Peg.
Yeah.
No.
That doesn't
look
seem
how
to
that
be
turned
quite
out
anymore, does it?
with his extra leg.
It's not
Anyway, so get back to the sales figures. So Xbox One, 3 million units. And
what's that, about 6 weeks or something, isn't it?
Yeah, that takes it to December.
Yep.
By the end of 2013. And PlayStation 4 was 4.2 million by December 28th. That doubles the sales figures of 2.1 million on December 1st. And Sony's obviously Xbox One in the select territories for launch still. But PS4 is still not out in Japan, which is obviously a very strong market for them. Market, and that's why it was later in Japan.
Big numbers.
Very big numbers.
But obviously still some way to go, because I think Xbox 360 and PS3 sold 80 million.
Yeah.
In total, together?
Each.
Yeah.
Obviously over the course
and they obviously
years
still exist.
And they're still selling.
Still in homes,
But actually what I don't know is how well those consoles sold in the same period as... PS4 and PS3 selling in the same period as PS4, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Let's get Luke on.
All right, Doc Brown, do you want to get the chalkboard out? So another
Just gonna have an aneurysm while I sit here.
There's a new contender though, the Steam Machine, which the CES we revealed were 14 at least.
In my day.
Train engine, a locomotive.
So at CES they've announced this thing that runs on Steam, but then there's not just one of them. There's 14 at the minute.
I know.
And there could be even more of them.
What are you
that's
talking
just a
about?
PC, right?
All right. Basically, what's happened is that, Valve, the company, they brought out this thing that's basically a console.
Do you know Valve?
Yeah, I know Valve.
Yeah, you probably know Half-Life.
I've worked here a while.
Stuff like that, yeah. We've heard us talk about things like this. And they're bringing out what they're calling a games console. But as far as I can see, it's a PC. They're bringing out PCs, but calling them game consoles. And they run on their own version of an operating system, SteamOS. And you can decide which kind of level you want to get your machine at. Either a really cheapo, crappy version.
So there's one here which is
properly, or a really expensive
and
version.
some of them have absolutely amazing names. So the iBuy Power
do that,
SBX. What, sorry?
Can you do that properly?
I buy power.
I buy.
That's better.
I buy power SBX starts for $499.
Expensive.
Some really expensive though.
But that's still what, 300 quid, 350 quid.
The Falcon.
I bet that'd be 400 quid.
This one. Check this one. The Falcon Northwest Tiki.
The what?
The Falcon.
Tiki.
The Falcon Northwest Tiki. That goes for up to $6,000.
That sounds like a helicopter,
doesn't it?
The Zotac. What are
They
these?
really
These are
need
like
to work
late
on-
night big TV stuff.
Well, no, Zotac. See, let me have a look at this. Zotac. They're a motherboard manufacturer.
Okay.
Who else you got there? Yeah, Gigabyte. They make motherboards as well. So
Gigabyte
all
bricks.
these are all people that make PC.
So they're wrapping it
parts.
up
that's the
into something.
manufacturer.
they're branded.
Yeah.
The Next Spa steam
A lot
machine.
of them have
Next
just called.
Spa steam machine. That definitely has to be a sauna.
Well, just maybe something you pop your feet in.
I have actually got.
Ooh, that's
I've actually got
Yeah.
a list of. Yeah, that is the Falcon Northwest tropical tiki machine. These are saunas.
Makes
Can I ask
really nice cocktails.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this real, or are you making this up? Because this is weird.
Unfortunately, it is real.
Okay.
Don't know.
Is this good
Don't
or
know what I've
bad?
done.
Like, this seems like a
Some of
strange.
them. Look at this one. Main Gear Spark.
Well,
Are people going to be buying these instead of the PCs or
And they've got
console?
no uniform like aesthetic to them as well. There's some that are really thin that look like super slim SD drives, and some of them
are really fucking ugly.
one of them looks like a router.
Yeah.
See this one with the two antennas.
There's another one that just looks like a small, badly made steel box.
But the whole point of Steam machines for me when they first announced them was to make PC gaming easy and accessible
Yeah.
to the masses.
Yeah.
And by having 14 units straight away doesn't make it easier or accessible.
It's
just
confusing.
like,
Also, I don't know much about PCs, and I will freely admit that because I've always been a console gamer.
Yep.
And that's where my expertise lie. But I know an i3 chip ain't much cop. I thought you've always said that. I'm basing this on what you said, Stuart.
Well, you should never listen to what I say, should
he
you?
lies and changes
Capricious.
every time.
Here's the thing. i3 chip, not particularly powerful, but when you're looking at offsetting most of the processing onto the GPU, onto the graphics card,
Remember this next time Stuart wants
don't-
to upgrade to his PC.
you don't need,
it's gonna
maybe
get-
you don't need such a ninja processor.
Right.
Okay.
But the one that seems to be the flagship model is the Alienware Steam machine. It's the one that a lot of attention was given to, and there's no pricing announced for that one yet. But it looks quite nice. Got that distinctive Alienware design to it. But it was a little bit more of a console form factor, even more so than the X51.
I guess the idea is, though, that these are upgradable as well. So you bung extra RAM in, you bung new graphics cards in, as in when. So instead of having a closed-off path like a console, you have something that is upgradable.
Actually, I don't have details of it here, but you see the Razer PC,
Is it Project Catherine? I think
where
it's
it's
called.
fully modular.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Like very odd looking, but kind of like a nice idea. But again, the problem for that is that, you know, I don't know what I'm getting. If it says I'm getting a GeForce 6800 FX, that means nothing to me. I want to know out of 10 how good the graphics are going to be. That's what I want to know.
Compared to what, though? Compared to a console? Compared
Well,
to...
compare, like maybe there should be a Steam rating, a Steam machine rating.
Okay.
Like how clean is it going to get my curtains?
Your beef curtains.
I don't have beef curtains, do you?
No.
Right.
Moving on.
Yes.
Michael Bay, then. This is
Speaking of meltdowns.
Yeah. Can we have an unlucky, Alex?
Unlucky.
Michael Bay was unlucky this week when he went on stage at CES. There was a Samsung press conference where they were rolling out their 105-inch UHD TV. So it's one of these 4K TVs.
They're rolling out because it's one of those bendable.
Because it's a bendable one.
It's weird.
I don't understand these curved tellies. But anyway, the thing is, he goes on stage to speak about this TV. He got really, apparently, according to Michael Bay, he got so excited about talking about it that he skipped over the introduction line that the executive vice president was doing.
Right.
Lost his place on the auto cue. The person operating the auto cue then ran the auto cue back.
Yeah.
Michael Bay just completely lost his shit and kind of went, I don't know what I'm doing. And said, I'm sorry,
I wish he had
said
said that. But surely, like, obviously, such a big advocate of the TV, he wouldn't need an auto cue to
He's lent
say
his
all the
name
amazing
and the
things
future of his new movie to this
Yeah,
TV.
that's right, because I'm doing a special curved screen experience with Samsung and Transformers 4 footage that will be traveling around the world.
So what was that from? What you just read then?
Well,
So that's he took to his blog
Yeah.
after his up.
yeah, saying, I just
To a
embarrassed myself at CES.
Yes, you did.
Ironically, he went from a guy who could talk and transformed into a mute.
Yeah, yeah. But isn't there a certain amount of schadenfreude for all the shit we've had to watch that Michael Bay has brought out? To actually watch him on stage.
There's also a lot of sympathy for him as well, though. Yeah. A lot of people...
From people that haven't seen any of the Transformers.
I felt sorry for the other guy, the...
VP?
Well,
I wouldn't, mate. He's probably got a private jet and everything.
But I bet Samsung have shelled out a lot of money for it to come to Las Vegas to do that. And
I felt like he left that guy stuck between the rock and a hard place.
What? Yeah, how long have you
Everything has been building up to this awful gag.
That's it.
He sat there through 3 news stories. Alright, here's my time.
I have actually been making notes of Michael Bay film titles. I've been trying to figure out how to get a lot of pain and very little gain in.
Chris, stop being such a bad boy.
Well, then I said it was the CES version of Pearl Harbor, but I thought that was tasteless.
That is pretty tasteless.
Yeah, but still wanted to get it in anyway.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That is a bad film.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what you're saying though, I mean, sympathy for him?
No.
But that's the thing, from Samsung's point of view, a lot of people have watched that video.
A lot.
Way more than they would have done if it had gone successfully.
You've seen us all planned.
I still don't understand though. Can somebody please explain to me the point of having a curved television?
To follow the curvature of your eyes.
Stu, Michael Bay couldn't.
No, exactly.
He lost it.
Michael Bay
I don't know why you would want it.
Maybe it disoriented him, the curved telly.
He's like, you're a big home cinema buff. I can only see it being a problem for people sitting at the side of your room.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, it's not really curved.
Well, it is quite curved. But the thing is, in professional cinemas, they have been trying ever since the dawn of cinema to get screens completely flat, because they've had, for years they had problems with lenses, because the technology meant that if you had, a long throw on a lens, a huge screen, the center would be in focus, the side bits wouldn't be, so you curve the screen around to allow for that. Which is why if you go to the Odeon Leicester Square and you see like what's supposed to be a flat horizon, it looks absolutely awful because there's such a huge curve. And in fact, David Lean wouldn't allow Lawrence of Arabia to be shown in that cinema, because he said it just ruins the film. It ruins the aesthetic of the film because everything's all wonky.
Right.
So now we're at a stage where cinemas are kind of, with digital technology and amazing new lenses and stuff, they're getting the screens completely flat.
Yeah.
And we seem to be saying, oh no, curved is better. Let's have a curved telly.
But surely it's just another 3D thing, right?
It's a gimmick. This is a gimmick that'll come and go.
Ultra HD, however.
4K.
After seeing it.
Is that the same as 4K?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the big problem as well, is some people are calling it 4K, some people are calling it UHD, Ultra HD, and I think until that settles down, people are still going to be very wary of
I'm calling it next gen. Is that all right?
But that was the same as the whole kind of HD ready versus full HD thing.
Yeah.
What was that? If you were HD ready, it wasn't
720.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's not true HD 1080 is.
No.
But this has happened time and time again. When you had Windows Vista ready laptops, which couldn't actually properly run the whole version of Windows Vista. They could only run like a crappy version of Windows Vista.
A light version or something.
Yeah, with none of the kind of graphical bells and whistles. So this keeps happening. They bring out stuff and they bring out a lower version of it.
It's a stopgap version.
Yeah.
Are they trying to hoodwink people, or is it more just a little bit like that, isn't it?
It's a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's slightly misleading.
People say, you can still get these huge 55, 60-inch TVs today, like plasma TVs for £300-400, and you think, oh, that's fantastic. And you look at the specs, and they top out at 720p.
Yeah.
And you just think, it's going to be awful. But people look at it and think, big telly, HD, I love that.
That is true, yeah. Like, you see it all the time in the sales, and people just buying anything.
Yeah.
I spent ages researching mine.
I want them to be more curved. I want next year at CES them to do like a Zoetrope, like in 4K, and then put it on Michael Bay's head.
It'll happen.
And then shoot him.
Probably not through Samsung. Maybe he'll appear for LG next year.
Yeah.
Thinking.
And then
they got a lot of hits on that video.
Wouldn't look like Gold Star.
Yeah.
BAFTAs.
Good.
BAFTAs.
This seems to be Chris Tilly's BAFTA alert, everybody.
Has everyone got their puns ready?
The BAFTAs nominations were announced this week, and Gravity leads the way with 11 nominations, just ahead of 12 Years a Slave and American Hustle, both of which have 10, and Captain Phillips has 9. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this a lot this week, haven't we, Cruz?
Yes.
We did a video for the site, speculating, and we kind of came to the conclusion that it looks like it's a 2-horse race, we reckon, between Gravity and 12 Years a Slave.
So how is Gravity a British film?
Oh.
Well, that's been debated. So what you're talking about, Alex, is as well as being nominated as Best Film, it's been nominated as Outstanding British Film.
Yeah. So
alongside films like Rush and Philomena, which you would think of as British.
So what we talked about in the video we did was that filmmaking at that level, and pretty much at every level, is a collaborative process. So it's got American backing, it's got American stars, it's got a Mexican director, but it was filmed in the UK, probably with UK crews. So they physically helped make the movie, and then British special frame store. So British special effects teams. So, big chunk of that movie was British craftsmanship.
How do they figure it out, though? Is it as a percentage?
There's something like, I think there's 16 points that a film has to reach before it can be considered British. Gotcha. But in this instance...
Has to have Danny Dyer in it.
Every film should have Danny Dyer in it.
In this instance, there's been quite a bit of debate this week about it, saying that it's kind of been fudged a little bit so that Gravity could be in this category, although I don't know why it would need to be in that category. Because similarly, Saving Mr. Banks is in there, which equally people are saying is not a British film.
That really seems not very British whatsoever, apart from having one British person.
It's written by a British woman. It's very muddy, this kind of thing, and I just don't think it's really necessary either.
It's a bit of a weird category.
I mean, it's a weird category. Hopefully, it'll give them the opportunity to give a big prize to Philomena or Rush.
So what we were saying is...
There's just no point in having it in there.
Well, like we said in the discussion, 12 Years Slave is very traditional Oscar fare. Like fodder for award season. And you can see it very easily going to that film. But Gravity, even though it's got quite a cheesy script, it's quite lightweight, it's 90 minutes in terms of plotting, really. It is proper spectacle, and it showcases another side to cinema. And one that's sometimes overlooked at the Oscars.
It's a tricky one, though, because who do you think that important cinema people would rather support? A kind of... almost what we could refer to as a 90-minute B movie, or something that takes on a bigger picture, a bigger kind of topic. Yeah,
but it is undoubtedly
because it's not, because let's face it,
weightier, isn't it? It's easier to cast the vote for 12 Years a Slave. If you were on the judging panel, it's just easier. But I think Gravity showcases another side of cinema that doesn't often get rewarded in necessarily that category.
I mean, I think it's going to get a lot of technical awards. That's for sure. I can easily see it picking up 7, 8, 9 technical awards. But should it win? Should that win when you compare it to something like 12 Years a Slave? How can you compare those two films?
One of the points I made was, is an experience, I think, Gravity, you might not have in other media. I think 12 Years Slave, you might be able to have a experience akin to that in literature. If you read The Colour Purple or something like that, or even his first-hand account, there's an experience you can have there that's maybe akin to it. Whereas Gravity, I think, is pure filmmaking.
I wouldn't be surprised if 12 Years a Slave wins Best Picture, but they give the directing award to Alfonso Cuarón for what he's managed to pull off, which is a pretty amazing feat. So much so that I was telling Dan that quite famously recently in one of the European junkets, one of the European journalists asks Alfonso Cuarón how he shot the film in space.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a testament to how good the effects were or how stupid this journalist was.
I said to Chris, we should start doing a new feature on IGN every time we go to a junket. It's like Iron Man or something up. How did you actually fly the Iron Man suit?
just to see the reaction. I'd love to see a compilation of that.
So, who was responsible for looking after the dinosaurs in between takes?
Who was a dinosaur wrangler? But maybe, you can see the list of nominees on the site and you can look at a conversation. But kind of what was interesting is what's been missed out. So, Wolf of Wall Street and Inside Llewyn Davis failed to get Best Film nods. Idris Elba didn't get a Best Actor.
They fell in the timeline?
No, they did. Yeah, they did, and they weren't nominated.
Wow.
Wolf of Wall Street got a directing nod, but not a film.
Doesn't make sense.
Because so many people are going, I haven't seen it myself, but the buzz around Wolf of Wall Street is insane.
Seeing it tonight, I'm quite excited. And Inside Llewyn Davis didn't. Like I said, Idris Elba didn't get nominated for Best Actor, which I think surprised a few people.
He does a lot of acting in that film.
A lot of acting.
A lot of acting.
Nor did Robert Redford.
Naomi Harris feels a bit of she's been overlooked.
She's been overlooked as well. Mandela. And one I thought might be quite interesting is the visual effects category. It's Gravity, Hobbit, Iron Man 3, Pacific Rim, Star Trek Into Darkness, but no Man of Steel.
Good.
Which had a lot of effects in it.
It did, but they weren't
the cape.
particularly good.
You didn't like them?
Not really.
I thought they were quite different though.
No, but my whole problem with it, and I know it's not a real place, but the thing I loved about Nolan's Batman stuff is that, for me, special effects work when it feels natural. It felt so, and it was alien, that it was just like this. I just
synthetic,
hated
wasn't it?
the style of it. I hated
But
it.
what I like the special effects in the beginning when Zod gets frozen and they all fly up to prison in big ice dildos.
Yeah, big ice cocks.
Big ice cocks.
Big ice cocks.
So that's the BAFTAs, as Chris says. More on that on the site. And something about Skyrim.
Yeah, well, before going to it, we veto this story in the last 10 minutes because they've come out and said that this story is bogus about a remake coming to PS4 and Xbox One. So I'm going to sub in a new story, which is Stephen Moffat, at a screening of the final episode of Sherlock Season 3, announced that Sherlock will return for a 4th season on the BBC.
And possibly a 5th.
They said they've planned the 5th.
Mm.
So he said between downtime shooting this season, they went upstairs, that's Moffat and Mark Gatiss, who is the now showrunner, and during a rainy day they planned out the next 2 seasons. If they get to make the 5th, I don't know, but said they will be back for the 4th.
And so the cast have signed on for 4.
Yep.
Okay. At this point, before the airing of the 3rd and final episode, I am ambivalent toward that.
Yeah. It depends what happens in this next episode, right?
I am ambivalent because I've reviewed the show for the site and taken some stick
For most
from my views.
critics, yeah.
No, my reviews haven't been, people think I've given it 2s, I think, in their heads, like 2 out of 10, it's like 1 star. It's not, it's more kind of in the middle, like 3 out of 5 if we give 5-star ratings. Just because I think the focus of the show has slightly changed and it's lost plotting. And people said, you want the show to be formulaic. And I don't want the show to be formulaic. No. Just because something is genre, it has a mystery, doesn't have to be formulaic. Stuff like that is composed from stock features. But the skill in the writing is making that feel fresh and exciting. That's a skill in itself. And I am looking forward to a 4th season because I think something bad might happen in the last episode, which might kickstart a return to maybe what we once knew.
Yeah.
So I think something bad might happen to Watson
but then
and his new bride.
My only problem with that then is they've spent an
a lot
entire
teeing it up.
thing. And we've waited 2 years for these 3 episodes.
I agree because you could have had more cases for this season.
Yeah.
Kind of slowly building up the wife, and then maybe do that in the next season, and then maybe a big. We don't know what the cliffhanger is.
Also, I mean, if you think back to each of the 2 previous seasons, the middle episode, the 2nd episode, was the weakest one each time, and it could turn out this one. I mean, the 3rd episode could be the best one they've ever done. Yeah. We've got to kind of keep our powder dry on this one.
I'm going in open-minded.
And from the trailer, and in the context of the 3rd one, this 2nd one might be better. There might be little things in there.
I just hope it's not like, and I don't think it will be, like the same kind of cliffhanger ending where they have to spend the first part of next season explaining stuff. It's like, all right,
I hope
get
they
on
got
with
that
it.
out of their system.
Yeah, it's done.
There hasn't really, the problem is, I don't think there's really been a proper hook for these 3 episodes. Like the last 3 episodes was very much about Moriarty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If I'm remembering them correctly.
Yeah.
But this season there hasn't been. It's just been flailing around.
Yeah.
Well, they've mentioned this new guy. I can't remember his name.
Charles Magnuson. But he was teased at the end of the 1st episode, but then he was not apparent in the 2nd episode at all. So he's going to come into the 3rd episode without really the same build-up that Moriarty did. When he appeared, you're like, oh crap, it's Moriarty. Yeah. And he had, he was amazing though.
But that's fine. They've got an hour and a half.
And it could just be a great one-off villain. Could be.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
But even like something like the Hound of the Baskervilles episode, which kind of gets slagged off a lot, but I still had a certain cohesion to it. It was like they went out of London as well on that, and it felt like it had
the bigger problem for me with that episode was that the actual solution was just a bit rubbish. Yeah, it's like, is that it?
One of the problems is, I think I said this the other week, is after 2 years, your expectations have been stoked to such ridiculous proportions. Was it ever not going to be a bit of a letdown when it returned?
Well, do you know what? If it was more of the same, I'd have been quite happy with that, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that it's still possible for things to satisfy your expectations. I imagine going in, I can't remember what it's like, but imagine going into like The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
With your expectations being massive.
Yeah.
And walking away going, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
There are times when you do walk away and go, that was as good as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. It is rare because obviously that's difficult to achieve.
Yeah. Cumberbatch is still brilliant, I think.
He's great. They both are. The cast are absolutely superb. Yeah. I think they've just been let down a little bit by...
I think the editing and direction have been off.
Yeah.
I think the editing's been a bit kind of fidgety and a bit ADHD. And some of the like visual trickery is becoming a little bit intrusive.
OTT.
Yeah.
Well, the director, Paul McGuigan, who did the best episodes of the previous two, he's directing Frankenstein at the moment, so that's why he's not been involved in these ones. He's doing that with Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy. So I think it's missing him a little bit because he did a really good job.
Yeah. But I am looking forward to seeing the next episode on Sunday, I think.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it again next week, won't we?
More than likely. Cool. Okay, great. Let us know what you think of any of the news we've been talking about this week. Let us know your opinion on Sherlock as well. If you think it's been let down by...
Don't direct it to Krups because he's had enough of that on the site.
No, I'm going to hurt myself.
IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com. Now, what's this next section? Most looking forward to this year, it says in bold letters. Each person picks a game or a film they're most anticipating. I only just read this. I haven't done that.
It's very slick.
We'll come to you last then.
Please do. It gives me 5 minutes to think about this. Should we start this?
Don't steal mine.
What's yours then?
I've put down 6 films.
Wow.
But it's weird for me because normally, I like my indie films. I went through the list of films coming out this year. I couldn't find any indie films that I was particularly excited about. So I could talk about some blockbusters.
Go on then.
X-Men. Days of Future Past. Really liked the last X-Men. Love watching Fassbender and McAvoy.
Yep.
And the thought of them with McKellen and Patrick Stewart with the crossover of the timelines.
Yeah.
It's a good trailer as well.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that one.
I'm still yet to be convinced.
Skepticism from
I thought the last X-Men movie was okay.
I thought the last X-Men movie was the best one of the bunch.
Well, I thought it was okay.
Well, I thought it was better.
We're all agreed
do you
that the
mean
third
Wolverine?
one's the worst.
I haven't seen Wolverine.
The third one of the straight X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Of the previous ones, yeah.
Okay.
Although the only thing that slightly disappointed me was when I spoke to McAvoy, he said that he only did like 1 or 2 days with Patrick Stewart.
Right.
So I think there's just going to be like a single crossover scene or something. I don't think it's going to be them going into action together.
Well,
you never know. They probably green screened it all anyway.
But I'm hoping it's going to be, like the Heat moment with De Niro and Pacino. I hope they're really going to build up to this exciting moment.
I think
where
Sandra Bullock in that.
I also put down Dawn of the Planet of the Apes just because the last Planet of the Apes was a real great surprise.
I am looking forward to that, because I thought the trailer looked interesting as well.
New director and new cast, so it's going to be quite different. But the guy knows what he's doing, Matt Reeves.
Yep.
He did Let the Right One In remake and Cloverfield, so I think he's a good filmmaker. Guardians of the Galaxy, because I went on set and I was just really impressed with what I saw. Much more Star Wars than superhero movie.
Right.
Well, I'm probably not supposed to say anything yet, but yeah, I was really, and I think it looks, the lead guy Chris Pratt just looked like a brand new movie star in the making there.
It's such a weird concept.
I know nothing about it, but people are going nuts about it.
But it's got a raccoon in it.
Yes, I know that much. Yes,
it's trailed even at the end of the Marvel Lego game.
Right.
When you complete the game, you speak to Nick Fury near the Statue of Liberty, and then out of the bushes come these characters. And I actually saw my 5-year-old nephew complete the game over Christmas. Yeah. And these characters just like emerge from the bushes, and he knows loads about Marvel. But it was that thing where he went, "Who are them?"
Yeah.
And I went, they're called the Guardians of the Galaxy. He went, "Who are they?" And I went through them, and went, "He's a raccoon from space," and he was just like, "That is awesome." And
Marvel are very good at doing all the kind of
stuff
making
like
the universe stick together.
There's a big tree.
Yeah,
it's like the Hulk.
One of
that's
the
really
tree.
strong. It's called Groot, and it's got the voice of Vin Diesel. And I think if they pitch it, it could. It's such a weird.
Perplexed look.
Yeah,
Don't understand anything anymore.
Raccoon and a tree.
A tree and a raccoon.
Surely you're like that with the Hobbit.
Yeah.
The only negative thing about it was that the post-credit sequence in Thor, which featured Benicio del Toro as the villain, and it was pretty awful.
Right.
But post-credit sequence, it's not in this movie.
Yeah.
And then the final blockbuster was Interstellar, because it's Chris Nolan, so we know nothing about it, but his films are always the most kind of exciting of the year, I think. Yeah. And then I put 2 comedies in as well. One which I think you're all going to not be impressed with, Dumb and Dumber 2.
I'm not.
I love Dumb and Dumber.
No.
Dumb and Dumber is one of the funniest films of all
Dumber.
time. If they can get back a bit of that, I'll love it. And then on a similar tip, really, In Between Us 2. I'll be there.
yeah.
I'll be there opening day.
Oh, well, you're in it.
I was in the first In-Betweeners movie, so
Yeah, I didn't spot you.
you can just see my wrist. So
Wow.
Oh no!
Just your wrist.
You did have a very particular wrist.
there you go.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, you got it.
Yeah.
Somebody has Netflix HD. You could tell it's a freckle.
Is it from that scene when Jay's masturbating at the start of the film?
Yeah,
You're doing
Stunt
it.
wrist double. Yeah. Stunt wrist. Brilliant. Alex, what about you? What are you looking forward to this year?
Any games? Chris? Any games?
No,
you're looking for?
I put TV.
No
I
games.
put Mad Men.
Yeah.
Because Mad Men's
game.
coming to an end, and I love Mad Men.
Mad Men, the first-person shooter.
Well, in terms of
Max
movies,
Freedom.
I'm looking forward to the conclusion of The Hobbit, just because.
To get it out of the way.
Kind of, a little bit. Although,
Enough now.
I do feel like maybe I missed something on Desolation of Smaug.
I don't think you did.
Really?
No. It's just a bit long and a bit tedious.
But a lot of people are quite positive about it, and I came out feeling really negative for the same reason that we mentioned earlier about my expectation was high because I really enjoyed the first one. But I just don't know how they're going to fill 2.5, 3 hours worth of film with what's left of the book.
Trust me, he'll find a way.
Well, probably. But
Is it me? That dragon
Yeah.
in Desolation of Smaug, he's a bit of a hipster twat, isn't he? He just
Why?
comes across as being a bit of a hipster wanker. I can imagine him wearing a really slashed V-neck T-shirt for some reason.
He does.
Oh, is that what it is?
Do you remember that?
But-
when he gets
but
out,
the bit
before
where
he
he's-
eats something, like before he wreaks havoc, he like does a little Instagram.
Yeah, really skinny.
selfies?
There seems to be 45 minutes of him just going, aha.
About to destroy Lake Town.
Yeah, I'm gonna all your shit up, but first I think I'll just sit here and talk to you about it for a bit. It's like, oh, come
It
on,
does
you're a
go on
dragon,
forever.
you're not going to do that.
Your favourite bit was when Thorin was on that little.
That's why it's
You know when
just-
Thorin was on that little surfboard on the gold.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah.
So I'm quite looking forward to
Yeah.
the third part of that.
Putting it to bed.
We didn't shit on any of Chris's films quite like that.
No, exactly. I'm used to it.
My choice is
Titanfall, OBS, in terms of
Yeah.
games. But Metal Gear 5.
You are a
I'm
big Metal Gear
growing.
fan, aren't you?
Yeah, but I was a little bit kind of skeptical. But the more I see of it, and the more I see Hideo Kojima doing teasing tweets, I'm like,
What do you think about the whole the Ground Zeroes, Phantom Pain? Which one is anything?
hard to say until
Just
you
give it
actually
to
kind of know. I think
Because Ground Zero is going to be like a budget title. They said.
well, I think it's basically it's kind of
bit
like Gran Turismo Prologue.
It's kind of like to tide you over.
yeah. To get
Because then you know the production of
how
it's
it
going on
works,
for ages.
Yeah, how it works and get you into. I think it's a good idea. It's essentially an extended demo that you pay for. So, but I think it's really going to demonstrate what the next gen consoles or current gen or whatever we decide to call
Would
them
you
now.
buy, like, obviously Telltale have gone for the kind of serialization route.
Yep.
What about like an annual serialized game like The Hobbit? Something like that. So you bought, like 20 quid, and then next year 20 quid, and 20 quid the year after.
The thing is, I honestly think that is the future of how games are going to be sold. Like FIFA should be following that model.
Oh, actually, we should go back to PlayStation Now, because I was thinking about this. We didn't really talk about, on a kind of related note, if you're on about how things will be provided, imagine with PlayStation Now if it was kind of like Sky and you could just pay for like the shooters.
Yep.
Or you can just pay for like sports games.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
like
channels,
different
that'd be-
tiers.
yeah, very smart, yeah.
And then if you just care about shooting games, then
Yeah.
you've got them all for a budget price. So I just wanted to throw that in because I thought
It's a
that'd
bit
be
of a shame,
quite...
though, isn't it? Because, what if you're somebody that just likes a little bit of everything but not too much of it? Or then
But I'm
you
sure
kind
they'll
of
have.
different tiered packages.
I would have
Yeah.
thought so, but yeah, they haven't even begun
Depending on
to
usage.
speak
You
about
can't
how
help
it's
thinking
gonna
that
cost.
Netflix have missed a trick with all this, though. They seem to have incredible streaming technology to get
They do.
Ultra HD, but
But PlayStation have got everything else, haven't they? They've got all the IP.
Yeah.
yeah.
That you really need to launch it. Anyway, so get back on track. So
Well, Metal Gear is kind of the title because I only picked one of each, Chris. I didn't go for 6.
Yeah, so
I know all the movies I had.
I'm the movie
off.
editor. I can do it.
I've got to say, I'm looking forward to season 2 of House of Cards on Netflix.
yes.
Really looking forward to that.
Chris, you need to catch up on that.
Yeah,
don't you?
I will before Valentine's Day. Is that right?
that's
yeah.
right.
Oh, new Game of Thrones. Looking forward
And
to
new
that.
Game of Thrones, of
Yeah.
course. Which is, did you read all the books in the end? Because I know you were going to start.
I'm up to the third because I lost my Kindle for a couple of months, but I found it in my suitcase.
Was it
No,
next to
no, it's
the,
like- it's
the
like-
voice recorder that you stole from the office?
My suitcase actually has a
was,
hidden
wasn't it?
compartment, like for papers and
Drugs.
stuff, and that's where I put the Kindle. I couldn't find it because
Amazing.
it's that well hidden.
That's good. They're pretty much the only two things I'm looking forward to. But I am looking forward to 4K technology hitting the home straights this year.
You honestly, like how? I know they've demoed Netflix in 4K, but
Yeah.
what kind of connection do you need to handle that?
5 meg? Something like that.
Bullshit.
Seriously, man.
I
because,
don't believe that.
Well, it's because you don't
It's all
understand. You don't understand.
It's all about where you.
codecs.
It's all about where your server
Man, you don't understand
bases.
code.
You don't
Like-
understand the codecs, man.
Yeah,
like
you
5
hipster
megabits.
dragons.
Yeah,
5
hipster
megabits
dragon.
if you're next to Maidenhead, but if you're not, you're stuffed.
It's all about the H.265,
Is it?
isn't it?
Is that the road to Maidenhead?
Is that the sequel?
That's right, to
By
H.264.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that's making no sense whatsoever, is it? But yeah, I'm going to be keeping a look on the eye on the prices today. You see, I think I sent a link around the other day. Yeah. This TV in America, 55-inch 4K TV for about £600.
Is that a Vizio?
It will be rubbish.
I don't agree with you.
Buy one then.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is.
If you gave me can I get £600 budget from the office?
No.
There you go. You see.
Put your mouth on the line.
But that's not your money.
Is that what you call it?
That's not Chris.
I accidentally said that in our conversation. It was a bit embarrassing.
Put your mouth on my line.
Ew.
No, I didn't say that.
So
but if you believe in that much, buy it.
Why?
Because you just said you believed in it.
I believe in it. I'm excited about it.
Right. But it's going to be as...
Well, no, come on.
If it costs that little,
yeah,
surely it's not going to be very good.
I don't follow your...
Because most things that are cheap are not very good.
That's true. How much do we pay him a month?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're expensive and you're not very good.
And I'm cheap, so...
Yeah.
Krups, right. What are you looking forward to?
So yeah, get back on track. Films, Gone Girl. David Fincher.
Have you read it?
Murder Mystery. No, I haven't.
Is it Fincher?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, it's David Fincher.
That's piqued your interest.
And unlike Stuart, I really like Zodiac. And I'm kind of interested to see him tackle that kind of popular source material. Mm-hmm. And the other film, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I just wanted to talk about it, is Captain America. I'm not super looking forward to it, but I think it'll be interesting to see Marvel tackle another genre. So the one that they're touching on for the Captain America Winter Soldier is kind of 70s paranoid thrillers like Parallax View and all the kind of some of the Robert Redford movies, and Robert Redford is in the movie as a supporting character. And I think it'll be an interesting one because I think he's the least interesting out of all the Avengers characters.
Yep.
Probably.
Apart from the dude that fires the arrows.
Hawkeye, he ain't ever getting the movie, is he? I think Iron Man 3, even though a lot of readers didn't like it, a lot of critics did, and I watched it again over Christmas, I think it's brilliant. It's really funny, and it does really well. It kind of modulates into that kind of buddy comedy cop thing, and it'd be interesting to see what they do with Captain America in that kind of other genre.
I'll tell you what else I'm excited for.
Godzilla.
The World Cup.
Are you?
I'm excited for the World Cup, and if anyone knows how I can get tickets...
For God's sake.
What? Just putting it out there.
Buy some.
I'm trying. I'm applying every time.
Are you going to try and go out there then, are you?
Yeah, that's the plan. Mm-hmm. So if anyone wants to come out with me, don't.
Have you mentioned games you're interested in?
No, I haven't. So the one game I want to talk about is Alien Isolation.
Ooh.
Which I saw...
haven't heard anything about this.
Which I saw just before Christmas on my last day at work, and it's a new Alien game that's been in production for 3 years, and it takes all of its kind of inspiration from Ridley Scott's original movie, not Aliens or anything else.
It does look very good.
So put any kind of misconceptions you might have because of what happened with Colonial Marines to one side just for a minute, because I read a lot of the comments on all the stuff we put up earlier in the week on the game, and obviously there's a lot of skepticism. People have been burnt by that game and how it just went on for years and lots of promises being made that weren't kept. But there's no reason why one Alien game's bad, the next one should be bad. Yeah. Obviously, you might be able to infer something about the way that Sega perceives the license, and on its watch it let that happen. But this big game's been cooking for 3 years. We've not shown anything until the year of release. It's coming out later this year, which I think is a decent developer, a whole new team. Yep. We went to the studio. They seem very confident with the game. Like the attention to detail as well is I think amazing. Like, you know, the little the bit that I always talk about is the elements of the soundtrack that come in when you walk into a new room. It's like, wow, this feels exactly how I want an Alien game.
In fact, they've gone back to all the original like production stills and everything like that, and they've taken these stills and they've said, okay, we understand how we can make this world bigger than the original Nostromo, but really keep to its original
they got
intent.
access. They got sent like a 3 terabyte hard drive full of stuff that nobody's ever seen from the original production of the movie. So they've been able to take the world of the Nostromo, which is just one ship, and kind of tease it out, extrapolate, and build a new space station that you go visit as Amanda Ripley, which is Ellen Ripley's daughter, which you do see in the director's cut of Aliens. Yeah. As a picture of an old woman who died when Ripley was in floating through space. And the pretense is Weyland-Yutani want to know what's happened to their ship, because if you remember, they wanted them to land on LV-426 and find the alien and bring it back. That's what Ash's mission was. Spoilers. And they've sent Amanda Ripley out to find out what happened to the ship and retrieve the black box, because Amanda Ripley wants to find out what happened to her mother.
Yeah.
And all that stuff about motherhood is kind of in keeping with the series as well. And I think it's a really neat idea.
There's only one alien.
And there's one alien
all you need.
and you
That is
can't
all you
really
need.
kill it. You can maybe later on in the game defend yourself against it in the way you can with clickers in The Last of Us. So you might fashion a device. If the alien attacks, you might be able to repel it once.
Yeah.
But then
It gets wise to what you're doing.
yeah, and
doesn't get
also
frightened by
pretty
it
much,
anymore.
and if you can't directly confront it, it'll be suicide.
And an interesting cast of supporting characters that we've seen.
Yeah, I just think one of them's got to be an android. Something like this, because the space station you go to visit in the game is called Seegson. It's owned by this other corporation called Seegson, which is set up as a kind of competitor to Weyland-Yutani, and they specialise in some of the advertising that we saw in synthetics. So I imagine if there's a level setting kind of a laboratory where synthetics are made.
Yeah.
Because the alien's not always going to be the threat in the game.
No.
And they mentioned Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, but I thought something like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, they're only in the movie for 15 minutes, but they're always there as a kind of threat while they're trying to get Jurassic Park back online. So I imagine in Alien Isolation, you're trying to get the space station working or get yourself back to the space station and your crew. Yeah. And the alien's there as a threat, so you need to go into a room to retrieve an object.
Yeah.
And you've got to avoid the alien. But sometimes the bad guys you have to contend with are your crewmates who have their own agenda.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how that kind of works. As long as it doesn't turn into a kind of all-out kind of FPS or shooter or anything.
I don't think it's, from what we've seen, it's not going. I was just thinking about the first time I watched Alien and the bit where Ash gets his block knocked off, and just how, even today, that's still such a shocking scene. Mm-hmm. That it's just I remember watching it and my jaw just dropping. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Like more so than the chestburster.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think so, because even by the time I came around to watching Alien, I wasn't that old when I watched Alien because I wasn't. But even up to that point, it had been parodied on TV. There had been parodies of it. But then when you see the whole film for the first time, the chestburster sequence is still really good. Yeah. It's ruined by the tiny little Muppet alien, I think, that comes out.
Yeah,
that, I mean,
when it runs off. Yeah.
That is the one scene in a film that I wish they could do something about with CGI and make it just a bit better.
Also, at the end, there's
George Lucas could do something with it. He's very good with CGI.
Yeah.
Also, at the end,
instead.
when she's running for the escape pod, you can actually see a man waving a bit of cloth.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, that chestburster scene, I saw Spaceballs before I saw Alien.
Yeah.
So I got to see the tap dancing alien before I saw the real one. So I kind of knew what was coming, because they even got John Hurt to do it, didn't they?
That's right.
In Spaceballs.
That would be the George Lucas version.
A
song.
You know, for the kids.
Yeah.
But do you remember the first time you saw Alien then, and how?
Oh, it's such a brilliant film. It's it's in my top 3 horror films. Bloody love it.
What about you guys?
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
it does hold up.
I think I like a lot of those films. I think my dad showed it to me when I was far too young to have seen it, or left a copy of the VHS copy around. But yeah, it's one of my favourite films.
That and The Thing, I think, kind of sci-fi horror movies, just two absolutely superb films.
Well, funny you should say that. We're doing a feature on the top 25 monsters of all time from the movies.
Is that right, Chris?
That'll be coming out soon. I think we seem to have had Monster Week on the site the last week, even though I haven't been that aware of it. But yeah, there's a few interesting.
It's Halloween, isn't it?
A few interesting monster features up. So, do you think this year's going to be a good year? I'm not that excited, I'll be honest. I'm more excited about the year after when it comes to films. This year's a bit meh.
Titanfall is exciting.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens at E3. I'm sure there's going to be a big... Obviously, all the kind of big launch games have slipped into this year. So you've got Watch Dogs, and there's a lot of exciting stuff. E3, I'm sure there'll be some really, really big announcements. So I think it'll be a strong year.
Yeah.
But we just don't know that much about what's going to happen later in the year yet.
Don't forget, if you want to tell us what you're most looking forward to this year, we're not really interested, but you could do it anyway. IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com.
I'm interested.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Reader FU,
Feedback.
people have still been talking about what we can do with Nintendo, bless them.
Yeah, Chris, you got the
Nintendo,
first
bless
bit.
them.
Yeah, I have an email from Pete from Wiltshire. It's quite a long one. I've got a lot to read out here.
Okay.
So here goes. Pete says, I felt I had to email after this week's podcast for a second week running. I was shocked by some of the team's Wii U comments.
I was too, because I wasn't here.
First, on Kez's last show, when you were discussing its price point, £300 was mentioned. 3 exclamation marks.
One for each £100.
I picked up a premium version with 2 games for £199 from Amazon prior to Xmas. It really isn't as expensive as you all seem to think.
We stand corrected.
Okay.
But I remember looking at the price of the premium pack. And okay, I'm sure Amazon, you can get it for a decent price. But it's... Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay. Sorry, I went to drink, so I thought you were going to talk some more. Secondly, Peter says, Luke commented that without the gamepad, it's just a Wii, isn't it? Which someone correctly replied, that it isn't.
That's what I said, yeah.
But then,
it's not.
But then Krupa pipes up that it isn't an HD console, though.
You're saying it's not an... You said it's not an HD console.
I think my point was it is a HD console.
Well, apparently you pipe up, it isn't an HD console, though.
I put it to you, sir.
Well, maybe I misspoke or not, but like obviously that's not my point.
To which Pete says, A? Question mark.
Eh?
I do mumble quite a lot.
In what way isn't it? Question mark.
In what way isn't it?
It currently runs Mario at 1080p, 60 FPS, and games like AC Black Flag, etc. Which last-gen HD consoles can just about manage on their last legs?
I think what I was saying, I probably misspoke, was if Luke was saying, without the gamepad it's just a Wii, my rebuttal would probably be, well, it's HD. Like, it is HD, at least, if nothing else. It's a HD console.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think he's...
Let's go back and listen, won't we?
A lot of controversy swirling around this. And he kind of finishes by saying, I think Nintendo consoles are likely to be people's second console, much like the Wii was.
Yeah, but that's... I don't know, I don't really have room for...
the days of second consoles over.
Yeah, for me. Well, it's not, it's the third console for me, because it'll be PS4 or Xbox One, and then the Wii U. And I certainly don't have room for 3 consoles.
No.
But he's saying that people will get one of those and a Wii.
Well, I'm saying I won't.
I can't see it happening. Amelia Perez says, just wanted to add to the feedback of the Nintendo Defender in the last episode. Nintendo did not invent pressure-sensitive buttons on the GameCube. Those were on the PS2's DualShock 2, which released a full year before the GameCube did.
Yeah, I do like the reasoning behind this next point.
Most of these innovations Nintendo are credited with are not ideas only they could have come up with. They may have been the first to do it, but that doesn't mean if it were not for them, no one else would have invented them. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb before any of us did, but that was by virtue of the advantage he had of being born decades before any of us. That's right.
Surely that is the
Had
point.
he not been around, someone else would have done it and it would be... Actually, I must put my hands up and apologise for not curing cancer, because I've obviously only got to think about it and do it before anybody else does. Idiot. Things like the D-pad were invented by Nintendo back when they had no competition. Other falsely attributed innovations of Nintendo include thumbsticks and 4 controller ports. If they weren't around, I'm pretty sure we'd still have gaming. Yeah, if Nintendo weren't around, we probably would still have gaming. I wonder how much different, though, the gaming landscape would be.
Who knows? But I just find it brilliant because they were around decades before anybody else. They came up with it.
They just came up with it first.
Yeah.
And for that, they probably deserve a lot of credit.
I do not think Nintendo are still relevant. They have failed to read the changing needs and tastes of the gaming industry.
I think they're relevant, but to a much smaller audience than perhaps they were.
Their appeal has become
ago.
more selective.
Yep. This is from Hunter Kyle.
That is a name and a half.
I thought Amelia Perez was a good name as well.
Yeah.
Hunter Kyle. The problem with Nintendo is not that the Wii U is poorly named. It's not that there aren't any games to play on it. And it's not that it needs a new bundle with the Pro Controller and without the gamepad. Nintendo's biggest problem is marketing. Nintendo ignored this massive new mainstream audience the Wii created in their next round of marketing for the Wii U by having commercials that did not explain it was a new product and confusingly only showed the tablet without giving a proper look at the game console.
Yeah.
So this all harks back to the original announcement back in 2011 at E3. Where the main focal point was the gamepad.
Yeah, and everybody in the room was looking at it going like, myself included, is it a new machine? Is it just an addition? Because they had the machine in the background.
Yeah, but it's very much relegated.
But it was, and it still does look very much like a Wii.
Yeah. I think that is a fair point early on in its life cycle, like it pre-launch, but there was a lot of time to change the messaging before it came out.
Yeah, but that's his point. But I still think by calling it, if they'd have called it the Wii 2, people would have understood a bit more. But the fact it's called the Wii U is like, what the heck does that mean?
Also, it probably could have come out a bit earlier.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't think they were ready for announce when they announced it.
Yeah.
Really?
I think that's why it was half-assed. I think they realised. Well, I think they probably thought that next gen consoles were going to be announced maybe that year or maybe the year after.
Sure.
Got to get out there first, and then they fluffed it.
Do you know? I'm curious. How deep into the development cycle of the Wii U do you think they decided on that controller with the second screen?
I would have thought that would have been one of the kind of first things that they, because it's all based around that. The experience is all based around the gamepad, the second screen. The problem is that so many people, you can do it easily on a PS4 now with Vita. So the selling point for that is like, so what? Scott Mackey, on last week's podcast, you discussed how many lives the Doctor got on the Christmas special. He said during the final...
we were doing this like 6 weeks ago when I was last
I don't
on the
care. Well, you can't have done this. This is the Christmas special.
Okay, but we were discussing this before
I
Christmas.
thought I downloaded to iPlayer and it's not there, so I haven't seen it and it's not there anymore. Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what?
Really?
You're not missing much.
So he said during the final scene in the TARDIS, what's his name? Fittipaldi, whatever his name is.
Emerson Fittipaldi.
Emerson Fittipaldi.
Drove off.
Just thought, I've had enough of this.
Good Fittipaldi reference.
He said that he got a brand new set of regenerations, and therefore they've got 12 new generations, with Capaldi being the first.
So it's
set.
not the issue we were talking about.
Okay.
So he had to watch it 3 times before he heard that line.
Brilliant.
And he thinks
Why?
that he was
Was the
saying,
sound mix messed up in it or something?
I don't know.
Maybe he was
just a
watching it with his
throwaway
family
line.
at Christmas, and like everything I tried to watch over Christmas, the O family was just fucking talking over everything.
That is true. Yeah.
Did you miss this, Dan?
I don't remember hearing that line. But I think what he's saying is the way it was delivered probably didn't have much impact or weight to it.
But surely
it seemed like a throwaway.
Considering it's such an important part of
Bit of
Doctor Who
lore,
lore.
and that's
Yeah.
a lot of Doctor Who fans have a problem with how they handle this kind of huge piece of lore, and they've reset it.
I have
And
no idea.
they just rushed it.
Did they?
Yeah.
So anyway, he also says, "Are you excited for Godzilla?"
Yeah.
Kind of am.
I
Yeah.
think that first teaser trailer is good.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah. Gareth directing.
Cran-
We all like
Gareth,
we all like
Gareth
monsters.
from The Office directing.
Yeah.
We all like monsters, so
Cranston.
yeah. Cranston, Taylor Johnson,
Is he in it?
Olsen.
Does Bryan Cranston get into trouble in the film?
He
Because
does,
we can
yeah.
call it Cranston Pickle, can't we? That could be a headline.
We could do that.
Could have
Have you
that.
have you seen that strip version of the British version of Breaking Bad?
No.
Man finds out he has cancer, and NHS treats him for free. One episode.
Chris, you got more feedback?
I have. This comes from Max Fuller. Sorry.
Brilliant.
Need a moment. Take a moment.
You all.
Max Fuller says, with the announcement of PlayStation Now and the variety of Steam machines at CES earlier this week, do you guys think that the sales of PlayStation products that are supported will increase lots? And do you think that Steam machines will increase the popularity of PC gaming and maybe gaming overall?
No.
No.
Well, it's too confusing. Having 14 Steam machines is just like having the breadth of PCs that are already
That's
out
the
there.
problem.
We'll
That is
get
a
all
problem.
14 of them.
Of course you will.
Because you're not going to walk into a game or a high street retailer and go, okay, I'll go for that. Because they're not going to have, they'll stock one if you're lucky.
What if you're unlucky?
If you're unlucky, they'll have none.
Right.
It's a shame because I think it could be a good opportunity to really bring PC gaming to the fore. But like you say,
But where do you buy the machines from? Because PC isn't really supported on the high street.
no.
I still, yeah. Where you buy them from? Or the
Yeah,
hardware?
the hardware. And like once you've got it, Steam is an amazing place to buy cheap games. Like the only digital distribution platform that does it right. But it's getting the hardware and making that decision. Now, how do you get that into the hands?
That's a really good point because obviously, what's the point of somebody like Curry's selling Steam PCs if all they're going to sell is the console and they can't sell anything else for it? There's no point in them doing it, is there?
Yeah.
So it would have to be an entirely online operation. You buy your Steam PC online, I suppose.
But yeah, how do you get that out there to the masses?
Yeah.
How do you show what it can do? I don't know. Not going to do like shopping mall roadshows.
Roadshows.
I wouldn't have
Well, I
thought.
was going to say that's the only way they could probably do it, but I can't see them having the budget for that.
No. Like Alienware isn't mass market.
No.
None of those brands. Well, Alienware is the most mass market out of those brands. I don't know. It's still in its infancy, but it just feels like it's preaching to the converted to me.
We'll see what happens. I think this is the final bit of feedback for this week. It's from David Trevino, who says, sometimes I have no idea what you're talking about, especially since I don't watch Sherlock or Doctor Who, but I really enjoy hearing you talk. By the way, I got squat for Christmas. I went out and bought myself a Bose Mini Bluetooth speaker, though. There you go.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
We have no idea what we're talking about most of the time.
Most of the time, it's true, we don't.
Yep.
So that is the FU for this week. If you would like to contribute to the IGN UK podcast, you can do so by emailing us at IGN_UKfeedback@IGN.com. You can try Facebook and Twitter, but let's face it, we never read out anything from those platforms.
Well, no, Tom got fired.
Yeah.
He didn't get fired. He was killed.
Killed by fire. You remember? Games out this week.
Fired by
It's his hair. It's like Michael Jackson.
It's just an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Games out this week. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, the PC version of that.
Good game.
Going to buy a Steam box for that?
No.
But is that it for games, really, now?
Yeah, but it'll accelerate soon.
All right, okay. Yeah. And a couple of small, no-budget movies coming out that nobody's heard of, Chris.
Well, 12 Years a Slave. Obviously, we've talked about that a bit. Everyone should go and see that. Yeah. I will be seeing it this weekend. But the other film is The Railway Man, which you've seen and I haven't seen.
Isn't that the movie based on Will Geert's tweets about First Great Western?
Yes, it is.
It should be.
In joke.
It is a film that never ends.
You weren't a huge fan of this
Not
one, Stu?
massive. I think there's an audience for it. It's Colin Firth playing a buttoned-up middle-aged man in the 1980s who is suffering deep trauma as a result of the way he was treated by the Japanese when he was a prisoner of war in the Second World War. And he decides as a result of this, he's going to go back and kill the Japanese man that tortured him.
What's that got to do with railways?
He's a keen railway enthusiast.
He goes there by train.
Here's the thing, right? He's a keen railway enthusiast. Even though in the war he had to dig a railway. Yeah, you'd kind of think that would put you off.
Probably psychologically, there'd be some.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Chris? I didn't even think of that. I feel really bad now.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Monster.
It's Colin Firth doing his buttoned-up
True story, is it?
Yeah, it is based on a true story.
You maybe kind of want to read the book.
They should have subtitled it Revengeance.
Yeah.
Yes. They've missed the marketing
12 Years
trick,
a
if
Slave.
anything.
Rail Vengeance.
Yeah.
That would work, wouldn't it?
Well, depends on your spacing.
Buffet Car the Vampire Slayer? That doesn't work. Forget it. And on that note, should we just go home?
I think that's it for this week's podcast.
Thanks to everybody here. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, me. Goodbye, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Bye.